lips draw tight in an attempt to mask uneasy eyes. A wavy-haired girl gazes up at the towering building before her. It smells sweetly of old books, worn paper, cracked leather. As the girl moves, she wonders if she has somehow found her way into one of her childhood cradle tales. This is a school for youngsters who show promising aptitude in the ways of magic. The professor gives her a pamphlet outlining the day's schedule. It also contains her first lesson, a handful of simple spells she is expected to master. A feast of almost unbelievable bounty awaits the new students in the dining hall. Partway through the hall, she encounters a shy, bespectacled student crying softly to herself. It seems some cruel boys have stolen her dinner. "Don't worry," says the new girl. "I'll get it back for you." She and the other girl make their way to the end of the dining hall. There, they find the boys clutching stolen heels of bread. Vile sneers spread wide across their faces. "Give it back," says the girl. The girl thinks for a moment. Then she decides to teach the boys a lesson, using one of the magics from her pamphlet. But the spell is all flash and dazzle, and the laughing boys easily repel it. The girl gives the spiky-haired boy a brief thanks, even though she felt the issue was well in hand. The boy smiles proudly and rushes off to rejoin the feast. Having so recently been peeled from their families, every heart in the room is filled with unease. But the smell of good, warm food causes all tension to melt away. The three exchange bashful glances, embarrassed at the way they all spoke at once. Each one feels part of something larger than themselves, almost as if they were starting a new family. Life at school had remained relatively unchanged throughout the long years. The once young girl now grows ever closer to adulthood. The bell rings out, signaling the start of the day, and she picks up her pace as she runs down the hall. A bespectacled student calls out to her, the same one she attempted to rescue all those long years ago. Though she has matured in many ways, she remains as shy as ever. The professor gazes out across the room and begins her lecture. Pledges are a long-held custom for our kind. They allow two who are close to form a pair and pass their magics to each other. Once a pair affirms their feelings for one another, they seal the contract with an avowal ring. The day of pledging draws near, and you will all be able to participate if you so desire. The students have heard much about this ritual and murmur excitedly as the professor adjourns class. A group of boys slowly walk up to the girl with the wavy hair and offer her gifts of adoration. The girl's mature aura had been garnering popularity for some time, but she has no interest in forming a contract with the boys and quickly brushes them aside. But then, another student walks in to take their place. It is the spiky-haired boy who shared a meal with the two girls when they were younger. That day led to a friendship between the three that only grew stronger as the years went by. The boy teases the wavy-haired girl, calling her cruel for discarding all of her suitors with such haste. Though playful, she finds his taunts to be irritating. But she knows reacting to them will only make her the subject of further ridicule. The bespectacled girl stifles a laugh at her friend's affectionate bickering. But this sits poorly with the other girl, who whirs around and asks a single question of her friend. The laughter dies, and after a long moment of serious consideration, she finally gives a halting answer. No one in particular. Their conversation is cut short by the ringing of another bell. "We're going to be late," says the bespectacled girl as she bolts from the lecture hall. A confused eddy of feelings whirl about in the other girl's heart. But she can only watch as her friends walk away. On the day of pledging, the city is resplendent with all manner of decorations and colors. The sight causes the wavy-haired girl to practically bounce up and down with excitement. "Hurry," she calls to her friends. "Let's go before the shops close." Smiling, she leads her friends through the streets. Enticed by the delicious scents on the air, the girl suggests they visit a nearby food stall. With their bespectacled friend called away, the boy and girl suddenly find themselves alone. "Let's get going," she says, trying desperately to control the quiver in her voice. "I can't let him know how fast my heart is beating." Thoughts and emotions swirl inside the girl like a maelstrom. With all of her senses on the highest of alert, she does not even realize how fast she is moving. The two finally arrive at the pledging plinth, their figures silhouetted by the setting sun. The girl speaks first. She opens her heart to the boy, letting all of her emotions and feelings gush forth in a torrent. Silence stretches out. A moment, an hour, an age. Finally, the boy shakes his head. The girl's heart is immediately drowned in an ocean of despair. The boy manages to form a kind of base apology, his head hanging low all the while. "I'm sorry," he says. I never meant to hurt you. But I'm going to make a pact with our best friend. Vision blurs, sound roars. Without even realizing it, the girl begins to run, hoping that will somehow stop her tears. When she finally comes to, it is dark. The throngs of people mere suggestions in the shadow. At the sound of approaching footsteps, she turns around. Her friend has returned, none the wiser as to what has transpired. The innocent question pricks at the girl's heart like a thorn. You were my friend. I told you everything. You kept this from me the entire time. Bewildered, the bespectacled girl attempts to form a response. No, he doesn't understand. He doesn't know. Her lips tremble. Her breath halts. He doesn't know I love you. And in the face of this unexpected confession, the wavy-haired girl can only stand and stare. The wavy-haired girl is stunned. She thought her friends were going to betray her by pledging themselves to each other. But instead, her bespectacled friend has confessed feelings for her. I went out with him once because I didn't know how to get out of it, whispers the bespectacled girl. But it was you. It was always you. The wavy-haired girl is confused, bewildered, overwhelmed. All she can think to do is escape. I hate you, she cries as she flees. I wish you would both just disappear forever. For the next 3 days, the girl barely eats or sleeps. Her heart aches with regret. Regret that she allowed her emotions to run roughshod. Regret at the horrible things she had said. On the day of pledging, the air in the school is heavy and thick. The professor clears her throat. She lists the students who have pledged themselves to each other. But the girl's friends are nowhere to be found. She watches blankly as one pair after another walk past with joy on their faces. But no matter how much time passes, her friends do not arrive. The professor is clearly troubled by this development. Knowing how close the three are, she asks the girl to search for them. As she runs, the girl comes to a realization. As long as they can both be happy, nothing else matters. She decides then and there to apologize to her friends and to do all she can to support whatever decision they arrive at. Finally, she comes to a door held fast by a strange magic. Concerned, she quickly dispels it and proceeds inside. The boy lies before her. His body is cold and still. The cause of his death is unknown, but as no magic art can revive him, a funeral is held the following day. The boy lies in his casket. His death is a mystery, and the bespectacled girl has vanished without a trace. The wavy-haired girl had wished them both away in a moment of rage, and now it had come to pass. If only she had supported them. If only she'd never loved the boy. If only, if only, if only. As regret clamps its cold fingers around her heart, she whispers 4 words to whatever god might be listening.